So welcome back to Cozy Rosy Crochet, and we are already on to day 10 of the Hodgepodge blanket crochet along. For this 10th square we're going to learn how to crochet the herringbone stitch, but two different types of the herringbone stitch. You're going to absolutely love all the different colour changes and the different heights in the texture as you master this brand new stitch. If you haven't already, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials again. So the materials that we're going to need for the herringbone combo square is going to be our Aran weight yarn. I've got two shades for this square. I've got both paper white, which is shade number 202, and this beautiful lilac-y colour, which is shade number 242. These look great when they're combined. I've done a couple of squares with these already and I really like these colours combined. I'm also going to be using my 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors and a darning needle. Now the way that I'm going to work my two colours is I'm going to work one stitch with one colour and the other stitch in the other colour. It's just going to remind me to make sure that I'm working the right stitch. Because there's going to be an odd number of rows, I'm going to work both ends of my ball so that I have less ends to weave in at the end of our project. I'm going to talk you through that as we move through this project, but I'm going to start with the lilac colour as my colour 1 and my cream is going to be colour 2. So gather all of your materials and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is to make our slip knot and place that onto our hook. And then we're ready to work our starting chain. So for this we're going to make a chain of 25. So we yarn over the hook and just bring it through that loop on our hook. And we're going to do that for a total of 25 times. So we have a starting chain of 25. So that's 1, 2, 3, 24 and 25. So once you have your chain of 25, we're going to go straight into row 1 and we're going to work our half double. So we're going to work our herringbone half double crochet into the second chain from hook. So remembering that the loop on our hook does not count as a stitch, we're not going to work into that first chain directly underneath the hook. We're going to work into that second chain. So we start by yarning over the hook and inserting our hook into that first stitch, just as you would for a normal half double crochet. We yarn over, bring our loop back through, and then we're going to bring our hook through the next loop on our hook. It's a bit fiddly doing this first one because it's all a bit tight. And then to complete the stitch, we yarn over again and pull through 2. So let's work the next one together. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook into the stitch as normal, or the chain as normal. We yarn over, bring our loop up and through that loop on our hook. We've got 2 loops remaining on our hook. We're going to yarn over again and pull through 2. Let's work another couple together, so make sure we've really got it. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook into the chain, we yarn over, bring our loop through, and through that next loop on our hook, that leaves us with 2 loops on our hook. We yarn over again and pull through those remaining 2 loops. We yarn over the hook, insert our hook into the next stitch or chain, yarn over, bring our loop through and through that next loop on our hook, and yarn over to pull through the 2 remaining loops. Do one more together. We yarn over the hook, insert our hook under the chain, yarn over, bring our loop through and through that next loop on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 remaining loops. We're going to repeat that all the way down to our last chain, and I'm going to meet you at the end of row 1 and just continue working the herringbone half double crochet. So at the end of row 1, you should have a total of 24 herringbone half double crochets, and you can see the wonderful texture that it creates. So we're going to turn our project and do a chain 1 and go straight into row 2. Now row 2, we're going to work the herringbone half double crochet into each stitch across. Let's do a couple together and then I'll let you complete row 2. So we yarn over. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so we're going to work straight into that first stitch there. So we yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, bring our loop up, and straight through that first loop on our hook. The first one is always the trickiest. Ooh. There we are, fudge it if necessary, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops. And we just continue to repeat that the whole way along. So straight through that loop on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So it's very similar to the half double crochet, or more similar, I suppose, to the double crochet in US terms. So continue to repeat that herringbone half double crochet all the way down, and I'm going to meet you at the end of row 2 because we're going to change colour before we complete our final stitch. So I'll meet you for the last stitch of row 2. So once we've reached our last stitch, this is where we're going to change colours. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook as normal, yarn over and pull through our loop. But just before we yarn over and complete this stitch, I'm going to pick up my other colour and change to complete that stitch. Just pull on that gently to secure it. And then we are ready to continue row 3 in our new colour. Now, if you're not changing colours, you don't have to worry about this. But if you are changing colours to work the different height stitches in different colours, this is where you would change colour. So going into row 3, we're going to start by working a chain of 3. And this chain 3 does count as a treble, as a UK treble crochet and a US double crochet. In row 3, we're going to be working the herringbone double crochet. So it's a slightly taller version of what we've just worked. So we're not going to work into that first stitch that we have here. We're going to work into the second one. So we yarn over the hook, insert our hook, bring that loop through and through that second loop on our hook. We then yarn over and pull through the next loop on our hook so that we still have 2 loops remaining to yarn over and pull through. Let's try that again. So we yarn over the hook, insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over, bring our loop up and through that second loop on our hook. We yarn over and just pull through that first loop there before we yarn over and pull through the 2 remaining loops. Let's do a couple more together. We yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, bring that loop up and through that next loop on your hook. We yarn over, pull through that first loop on our hook and then yarn over and pull through the 2 remaining loops on our hook. So it's just a slightly taller version of the half double herringbone, and it creates almost a bit of a V shape. It's really quite pretty. So we're going to work the double herringbone, or the herringbone double crochet, all the way along this row, just remembering to work that extra pull through, which is what makes it slightly taller, but the first part remains the same. And then at the end of this row, I'm going to meet you at the last stitch, because again we're going to change colour because we're changing back to our purple, but we're going to work from the other end of our ball so that we don't have to fasten off all these ends. We can carry them up. So keep working and I'll meet you at the end of row 3. So I've reached my last stitch of row 3. Just going to place everything down because I need to break my own rules to be able to work with the other end of this ball, and I need to remove the band from around my ball. Now we have to be very careful that we don't get too twisted up when we're working from both sides. So you can see here that this yarn is about to cross this ball. It is a little bit fiddly, but if you take a little bit off before you start, you should avoid the worst situation of the yarn tangling too much as you're working. And it might be that you're just going to have to take some time every now and again just to untangle the yarn. So we're going to work this last stitch. Now, of course, I have to say, you don't have to do this. You can fasten this end off. I just don't like weaving a lot of ends in, so I'm going to carry my yarn up. So for the last stitch, we do the same as we did. So we yarn over, insert the hook, bring our loop up and through that next loop on our hook, yarn over, bring that next loop through, and this is where we're going to change colour. So I'm going to pull through the last 2 loops using the strand of yarn from the other side of my ball of yarn, ready to go into rows, we're in rows, go into round 4, and I still said round, and then we're ready to go into row 4. So for row 4 and 5, we are repeating that second row. So we chain 1, turn our project, and then we're ready to start our herringbone half double crochet into each stitch across. So we yarn over, insert our hook, bring our loop up and through the loop already on our hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And we just repeat that all the way to the end of this row, and then we're going to repeat that again for our 5th row before we change colour. So repeat row 2 for rows 4 and 5, and I will meet you in the last stitch of row 5, ready to change back to our cream colour. So I'm going to show you how to do that colour change again. So at the end of row 4, we need to work into the top of our turning chain of 3. So we're going to yarn over the hook and insert our hook into the top of our chain 3. I have to force mine through because my chains are always incredibly tight. I always like to make sure that I get 2 loops of that top chain onto my hook. I'm going to complete that first part there. And then just before I complete the stitch, I'm going to pop my yarn over from the end of that row. And the reason I'm doing that is because it will just secure it in place and hold it against the side of our project. So once you've carried your yarn here, we're going to do the same at the end of this row, but we're going to change colours. So there's nothing really to carry yet on this side, but I'll meet you at the end of row 5, where we're going to change back to our cream colour to work our herringbone double crochet. Continue to work your herringbone half double crochet to the last stitch, and I'll meet you there to change colours. So I've reached the last stitch of row 5, and here I'm going to change colour back to my cream. So I yarn over the hook and work my herringbone half double crochet up to this point. I'm going to drop my other yarn, pick up, making sure that that's just going to give that a bit of a tug, make sure that that's nice and tight, and then I'm ready to change colour. Now you see there's not a lot of tension here as I bring this up, because what we don't want is for our colour changes to make the edge of the rows too tight. And we're ready to work on row 6. So row 6, we're doing I'm changing colour, so I know that I'm going to be doing the herringbone double crochet. Getting into UK terms today, don't know why. So I've done my chain 3, which turns my work, and that counts as a stitch, so I don't work into that stitch here. And then we're ready to work into that next stitch, working a herringbone double crochet. So just like we're doing for the half double, we yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, bring the loop up and through that loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through just that first loop, then yarn over and pull through 2. Going to do another one of those together just in case. So we yarn over, bring our loop up and through the loop on our hook, yarn over, pull through that first loop and then yarn over and pull through 2. So repeat that the whole way down to the end and that final stitch, where again we're going to change back to our next colour. So at the end of row 6, we need to repeat rows 4 to 6 4 more times. And then we're going to do that row 2 twice more to bring us up to the top. So I've stopped at the end of row 20 here, because what I'm going to do is change to my alternate colour, just finishing that last stitch here in my last colour, and then I'm going to be ready to fasten off our stripes. Because as I work my edging all the way down, I'm also going to weave in my ends. So then we can get rid of all of that, make sure that it's not tangled anymore. Hope you didn't get in too much of a tangled mess. Mine wasn't too bad actually. There we go. So we're left now with just our cream colour attached, and we're going to work our edging in this cream. So we start with a chain 1, And then we're going to work a total of 24 single crochets down the edge here. So the way that we're going to do that, we're going to do 1 in each of the purple rows and then 2 in our cream rows. And that will just give us the right number of stitches. So I'm starting straight in here. So there's 1, then into the next row, 2. And as you can see, I'm working over where I've carried my yarn, and I'm going to work over these rows, these ends as well. So 1, 2. I need to place 2 across this cream row because it's a double crochet row. And then we can do another 1 on each of the end of the rows. Back to cream, so I'm going to place 2 across the end of that cream row. You can see it's just going to neaten up the edge of our project. It's going to hide all those ends if you work over them, which I did not. So good thing I checked that, wasn't it? Where did we get to? So making sure that we work 2 single crochets into those cream rows and then 1 single crochet into each of these purple rows, or where the herringbone half doubles were. Then where we get to these double crochets, sorry, we need to work 2 single crochets across those. And that's just going to hide all our ends and neaten up the edge of our square. So continue to work 1 single crochet into the end of each of the half double rows and 2 single crochets into each of the double crochets, and I'll meet you in the corner. So once you reach the corner, I'm going to work into that last stitch. I'm going to work a chain 1 before I continue to work across the bottom of that starting chain. And again, we're just placing 1 single crochet into each of these chains across. So once we've reached the corner, working along that bottom row, again, we're going to work a chain 1 and then work back into that same stitch again. Before we work back up the side of this edge, again, we're going to work over all these carried yarns and these ends. So we're going to work 1 single crochet into each of the half double rows, exactly as we did on the other side, and then we're going to work 2 single crochets into the end of that treble crochet row. So once you've worked along this edge of your square, we've got all the way to this next corner, we're going to work a chain 1, and then we can continue working 1 single crochet into the top of each of these stitches across, just to edge it the whole way round with this lovely cream colour. Again, I'm working over that very last tail, because then I don't have to sew them in or weave them in as such. Now, because we started not in the corner, we're going to place our corner in this stitch here. So in the last stitch, we chain 1 after we've done our last single crochet, and then we slip stitch to join, and we are ready to fasten off. I am going to leave a long enough tail here to weave in. Just use my hook to bring that back out, and there we are. Apart from cutting these tails, we have our lovely herringbone combo square. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and of course I hope that you're following along with the rest of this crochet along. There are 30 different squares for you to learn new stitches with, new different crochet techniques such as this one where we've learnt how to carry our yarn, and of course 2 different herringbone stitches. I love this beautiful texture, and by working in the different heights it creates a different kind of texture too. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. I know you already hit that subscribe button, but make sure you hit the notification bell so that you never miss out another one of my crochet tutorials again.